Hello world of YouTube, Roger here, and I wanted to go over this video. And this is the actual road that Joan lived on. And had to do something back to this video. As I was saying, this is the Joan Roche, I believe. If I'm saying her last name right, but her first name was Joan. In the 1954 disappearance murder, which I believe happened. Of course, this is my family here taking a stroll down the street. We're all walking that day, but this is where in Lincoln, Mass, the Minuteman National Park is, and this was the road, which I believe very few houses resided on this road. And if I want to honestly say, if anybody did reside, was all on the right. And as you can see back there, I believe this was all a dead end at one point. I believe there was no road that went through that area besides here. And as you can see off to the right, all the open fields. And I believe there might have been two more houses along this ridge. And one of them obviously was Joan Roche's. I could say maybe there might have been one house over to the left, but due to the fact that that looks more like swampland, it's only obvious where the houses stood. And there is an opening, which I believe that first opening you seen back in the video off to the right might have been one house. And then we are coming up upon another opening, which literally, and as you can see, an old fire hydrant that might have housed for the housing in this area. And but this other opening leads to a shed. And whether or not it was built for the park, maybe for storage, I don't know, because there's nothing in it. But it looked like an old shed that someone would use to stack their wood supply to burn in the house. Of course, back in the day, old chimneys and stuff like that most definitely would have been, and when you look at this little shed, you could tell it had to have been holding wood, seasonal wood. So here's the pathway to that. Of course, there was people out there, the family walking with me. And as you can see, right along this area, how huge and open this grassed area is. And I believe somewhere in the mix of all this is where Joan's house stood. And I believe after this, you're going to see the phone go pa-doom. Oh, there's a little stump I'm going to trip. No, I didn't trip it, but now as you can see here it is. Whoops. What's going on? Paused it. Shed. This is where I would say someone back in the day would stack their seasonal wood. Whatever else was in this, whether it be, back in them days, old push lawn mowers or whatnot, whatever the case may be, we'll show you in a second here. Squeeze the camera in this. As you can see, really old, put together shed it is. I don't even know if someone maybe stored a friggin' horse in this shed. Or maybe small animal or pony. But whatever the case may be, I believe this belonged to a house. So, of course, walking back out, open fields, what would be there at the time. And just because of the simple fact, right, that they wanted these houses moved for the park, which I don't understand, because unless the burial grounds of them 8 soldiers are in that area, then I could see it. But there was nothing particularly in that area here to say any graves were, or any burialment throughout this whole area. There are, like I say, 3 houses in the beginning of this path, which you'll see in a few moments. But for them to want to get her out of this house, and how the government always does crooked things, I want to say and believe that they might have done something to her. Whether or not it was to try and scare her to get her out, I believe that is why she ended up the way she did. Because they were very prompt on getting this friggin' park made for whatever reason. I mean, don't get me wrong, as you can see, the paths are nice. But it's not like they all combined into one and loop around. Because you got to walk all the way through it and walk all the way back. All it is a trail through the Revolutionary War where the soldiers marched. And I don't know, maybe if this was the beginning of it. It might have been maybe the beginning of it. And they marched forward and got shot at that one spot. But then again, they say they walked further down the path, and then you can see a friggin' sign, which I took pictures of, but the sign is saying the actual place of the ambush. Of course, you see I didn't get the other houses, but that was the lay of the land throughout that whole path. But the ambush took further down the path from here. So that would make it 2 attacks throughout this walking through the trail. Where the sign, as you see the video there, supposedly that's where the British soldiers are somewhere buried. And then you see right there is the, shit, I can't sprawl it close. Let me screenshot this. I'm gonna back this up. So, there's the stone right there to say, throughout the area here, British soldiers were buried, killed. But they got an ambush further down the path where is anything. I don't see nothing. I did not see nothing stating anyone died or was buried there. So whether or not there was more attacks and deaths, it's just a strange formality of this place. Of, this area needing to get built to move people out of their residence, which, as you know, the Quabbin Reservoir out there in West Boylston, cities and towns are moved. And I'd like to know if, just like Joan here being a small resident, just being a small area resident, if they just muscled her out of there is right. And this whole thing of a home abortion was a cover-up. But as you can see down that road, all it does is lead to 3 houses that are left. It's stupid, too, because it just, for the woman not to be able to keep her house there, it's very stupid. Because the people down there, the 3 houses, they got to keep their houses. But yet the path goes down and it tells you, you got to turn around and walk back. But there is nothing down there, as you see, besides the shed. So I don't know why they would have to close off that whole area, or even take out the last two, which I believe remaining houses that maybe were there, just to make that area, because there's nothing there. And then you got people walking down the end of the path turning back anyway. So what is the sense? Why do they have to make this woman move that place? Move her new husband and family, 2 years in the making, and give up all their memories. It's just very, and this story, man, my father's 84 years old this year, and he ain't never heard this story. Never. And for him to say that to me, and this guy's all about reading history books. I mean, there's videos I got up of my father bringing us to the Quabbin Reservoir. He's brought me to the Mohawk Trail. He's brought me to sites in Mystery Hill. This man has brought me to lots and lots of places as a kid. And I ain't never been to this place, for one. And for him to say he ain't never heard this story, which had happened in 1954. And, he didn't start his adulthood until, of course, 1960, when he married my mother. I think he might have been in the 50s, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, I could ask him about that. Where was your whereabouts and everything, but this should have been, all over the news back then. And for me to just stumble upon this story, and as you can see, it's just forgotten. I like to keep these stories alive, because this is one mystery that just cannot be forgotten, because the fact of the matter is, people are claiming this woman walked away from her house after having a home abortion, bleeding. And I got the mapping out of how far she walked from this friggin', and as you can see, this road is pretty long. And they claim to see her miles from her house, even reporting her walking towards Concord, which if you go down this road, right, as I'm walking straight in this video, I'm trying to tap on a video and it ain't there. It's a screenshot, stupid. As we're walking down straight, right, you're going to end up on this road. You want to take a right at the end of this road, and you take that right, that goes into Concord. People said they seen her walking that way, bleeding, holding her appendix or whatnot, stomach. And then they said they seen her near 495 when it was being built. Then they seen her further down, let's say south, north to south, west to Concord. And these are good 2 to 3 mile stretches when you see my mapping. And for that to be said, how is a woman bleeding, having a self-abortion, bleeding, does not drop dead on the sidewalk, or loss of blood and just drop of exhaustion? You see where I'm getting this? This is just typically, physically insane. When there was a car at the end of this road, if you come out this road too, you take a left, there's Sunnyville. Another road, a suspicious car was sitting there. I believe that was the car that drove up this street, parked in a driveway. Neighbors saw her run out, run back in. I believe she got stabbed by whoever was trying to spook her with a knife. This is my thoughts and theories. This ain't in the books. But I think they were just trying to scare her, spooked her in her house, stabbed her accidentally, trying to muscle their way into her to get her to sell this property. But it all went wrong. So she tried to run out, get help, but she ended up running back in because the car was in front of hers. So I think that's what it was. And noticing that she could not leave, or maybe there was someone in the car, saw her running out, knew that she wasn't getting out of there alive because someone was in the car waiting. Went back in, tried to fight or do whatever, and got put in the car. And then the witness saw the car and it was gone. Saw it there, then saw it gone. And that was the end of her. In these sightings, I believe she was managed to get out of that car them 3 times of the sightings. And by the 3rd round, they just stopped trying to throw her back in the car, because by then she was probably being bypassed by a bunch of people. Thing on? Oh shit. But anyways, like I was saying, you know, these people that driving around, or just these things that happened back in the day, is just insane. But for anybody to endure this was just the reason why I'm the way I am. People come in and try and muscle you. But for this woman to lose her memories, house, just like anybody that's ever been in that predicament, to lose stuff. Stuff gets taken. Stuff gets... I mean, did you honestly think, you know, back in them days, that was the meaning of life? To have a family, get that picket fence, the 1 car in the garage, the 2-3 kids, let alone losing it all. I think this woman fought, but lost. But for this story to be forgotten and kept forgotten, and I mean, I did do a lot of searching and stuff on missing persons, and like I said, this didn't come up till later on. So I got everything documented on this, but I just wanted to show this road and, you know, the lay of the land and where the house could have been. So I'm about to wonder if I go back to that place and go near that shed, even in that remote area, to see if I can see if her spirit wandered back to that place. 'Cause that's a lot of place that when you're in distress like that and you're at that place of living, you know, that ghost will most definitely go back to that place. And where she would look like a happy woman, doing the family life, doing the, you know, the wife thing, the mother thing. Oh, the neighbor watch my kids, I watch your kid, you know, all that. And just end up changing her life or getting an abortion. It's just cover up to me. Very sinister stuff. And the way I've been finding out about things all on the internet now, it's just even more puts more perspective in your head of, this is a horse shit story. It's like, no way. No way. But once again, I wanted to keep this alive. I wanted to show the area that they needed and demanded, I believe, to get this damn park. And as you can see, what the hell is the sense of this road when it only leads to a dead end, and you can't even park at the end of that road to walk in? It tells you to go to the next entrance, which I parked there anyways. I went up in that damn area just to get a look. I didn't go too far, but it's up there in video. See the other end of this. But it's like, just to be pushed out for a piece of, and all that's down there is a friggin' shed and land. You know, it's not like the other trails, or the other trail where you see the houses that were lived in back then in the Revolutionary War, how they went by them houses and they still stand. You're not allowed in them. I think you might be able to get a tour, but of course they're not doing them. But other than that, they're there, but you're not allowed in them right now. And someone does do a tour throughout this. And I think they might even do the reenactment scene of the soldiers walking, but to cut this road and just to make it all turn back around and go back, it's just pointless. But if they did start the march from that road, I can see why. But to leave 3 houses there, they should have got out. What's good for one is good for the other, right? But other than that, this is the Joan, I think if I'm saying it right, Roche story. Very sad story. Very crazy story. Demented at that. And I like to keep things alive. It's just one haunting story that just, you want to know what the hell happened. And you just sit there and try and think. In the next video, be safe, take care, always beware. You don't know who will ever come up to you, try and take you out. Well, even the government, right? Out.